Welcome to Built for This, the podcast where property meets purpose. I'm Talia Hugh.
And I'm Megan Rovers. Together we're here to unpack the real stories behind the people shaping the property industry. From bold first steps to career-defining moments and the life lessons they've built along the way.
If you're passionate about property, curious about the human side of success, or just looking to build something meaningful, you're in the right place.
So let's unpack it. Welcome to Built for This.
This week we're joined by Pete Kelly from Little Fish Properties, and if you've ever wondered what really goes on behind the scenes of property development, you're going to love this one.
Pete takes us inside his journey as a developer, the kinds of clients driving projects right now, and gives an overview of the opportunities that exist across Victoria.
We also talk about the roller coaster of running a business in a market full of highs and lows and how to keep steady through it all.
It's packed with perspective and practical advice, so let's unpack it. Welcome, Pete, to the podcast. Thank you so much for joining us. To be honest, we've got a podcast expert here as well. So
Pressure is on.
Yeah, feeling a little bit nervous, Charles. How about you? Welcome, and thank you so much for jumping on, Pete, and taking the time.
No stress at all, Megan, Talia. It's it's cool. It's cool being on this side, and appreciate you having me on. It's but beautiful setup here, tech on point. Vibes aplenty, beautiful house, happy days.
This is what we want, I swear. We don't just get guests to just hype us up. Like, we seem to always have guests that are like, yeah, girls, you're doing great. Yes, how good. Pete, Little Fish. There's lots of brands that sit under Little Fish. I'm going to let you explain or give me an overview of what you do, and then I would just have so many questions from there.
Yeah, cool. So it's, so Little Fish started probably about 7 or 8 years ago. Which has been awesome. And we run a property development company. So we manage developments for people. We've got sort of buyer's advocacy at the front end where we help people identify development sites, do due diligence, feasibility, and then we help run them right to the end. We've got a real estate company that sits at the back, which that sort of evolved to be more of a probably vendor advocate play because we sort of value the local agents in whatever area our client is looking to sell in. So, the ability to be able to work with them, I think super important. And that's essentially what it is. We've got a network, a Little Fish network, which is an awesome community full of sort of property people that like property, activating property, and that's nationwide, and that's got over 3,000 people in it. It's been going about a year. So and we do a lot of content and a lot of YouTube stuff, and which is cool. Yeah,
that's awesome. Little Fish, the name, where did it come from? Why Little Fish?
My memory of where it come from is sort of a little bit vague. If Benny's listening to this, he'll have sort of different ideas, but essentially it was we needed a name. I think Benny, my business partner, he come up with it from somewhere. He had a connection to Little Fish, the words from something else, and then I had a connection somewhere else where when I worked in real estate, my director I was working with when we were doing our first development, he said Boots. They used to call me Boots because he called me from boots to suits. So I was a tradie and then I become a real estate agent. So
how good's that? This is like classic Australian nickname territory. Just like, you know what, you did this in one day and now you get this nickname for the rest of your life.
Correct. So shout out Darren Dean, but he calls me Boots now, and he said Boots, Little Fish is sweet, and that's what he said about this development. It was just a little dual lock, single story dual occupancy, and it was a great development for us, and kicked off what is now Little Fish. But he said Little Fish is sweet, and I've never forgotten it. So I think Little Fish slightly meant different things to Ben and I, but anyway, we both agreed on it, and it's stuck. And like anything, like any names, it's sort of
meant to be.
Meant to be. It was always meant to be. Yeah, 100%.
Love that.
Yeah.
In the development space, your business, a niche that there's not many people, like you're either the developer or you're the project manager, you kind of do it. Like it seems like, as you said, you kind of guide a client through that process. Is there many competitors? Like I feel like I know your business really well.
Yep.
I'd always go to you guys, but what's the landscape like for a business like yours?
Yeah, great question. Like it is a bit niche for sure. And 6, 7, 8 years ago, it was probably even more niche. I don't think we don't have any direct competitors, I suppose, that do what we do, but we have other players in the marketplace that could take a bit of our share for sure. So we have competitors, but yeah, not a company that does what we do. Just that full end-to-end, I guess, client-side management doesn't exist. We probably learned that it exists in the bigger stuff, more commercial developments, high density, that sort of class 2 of build. Project managers exist, but we sort of plugged into the sort of resi townhouse space where project managers didn't really exist. But, people are spending millions and millions of dollars on this stuff. So, we've found a place that it wasn't as if we sort of went straight in and had to compete with all these people. It was just sort of us. And in my opinion, it sort of still is just us because some people try and jump in. You guys would see it in your industry. You have people that go, they're doing it, I'll do it. But yeah, I've seen a couple of them that think they're doing it and they charge a fee but then what they actually do probably leaves a little bit to be desired. So, and anyway, long way of answering your question. It is a niche, you're right, and there's not that many that do it, which has been a blessing.
It's really interesting because you touched on something that's quite topical for us as a business at the moment is we do have a unique model similar to yours. We're basically on the resi, established market side, and you're obviously in the development side, the end-to-end, the client, a client's journey, basically the entire, the complete solution type of thing. And we've got competitors at the moment going, they're doing it. We may as well do it. What do you think your secret sauce is? What do you think the recipe is that you can do it and maybe your competitors don't have? Or is that giving away the secret sauce? It's not very secretive, is it, if I'm making you do it? Because I look at, and I'll give you ours, I think it comes down to you have to have the right people. Like, especially when we've got businesses inside businesses that are kind of in a transaction sometimes actually, they've got the same end goal, but sometimes conflicting interests or different parties to it. You have to have the right people behind it. Otherwise, it would be chaos. Like, it just would not work having a broker, a conveyancer, real estate. What do you think it is for your business that you've been able to master that maybe competitors can't?
Yeah, for sure. I think, it's the people. I think, you sort of nailed that. Like, it's definitely the people. And we've had, we've all dealt with different people and had people probably come and go. But, definitely the core group. And our group's amazing. Like, it's sort of headed up by my sister Claire, and then because she's great at what she does, and you got that trust factor and all that sort of stuff. So people, I guess, appreciate that. But that's the thing. And when it comes down to the secret sauce and all that sort of stuff, it's a bit, like, I don't know. Like, once you get out there and start doing your thing, whatever that is, and you've got your goal and you've got your North Star where you're running to. Even if you tell people what you do, they're not going to be able to follow. They just, to replicate the body of work and the expertise that have been built over the years to then implement, something so end to end, I think is a real tricky space to be. And I'm not sure what, your competitors, because I think what you guys have been able to do, like Geelong Property Hub, I got that right?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Like, I haven't seen that. Like, I live down this way. Like, I haven't seen anyone else do that. So, I would assume that people that say they're doing it, are they doing it? Or are they going, yeah, of course, like, we can sort that person, but are they really hanging their hat on that and really, I guess, dying on a hill for that process? Or are they just sort of, they come up with that because you guys come up with that and they need something to, counteract when they're sitting in a lounge room with a client to say, yeah, well, we do that as well. Like, so I would say that not everyone is sort of as driven as, like I say, dying on a hill for that cause as we are,
For sure. And touching on it as well, you mentioned that you've got a real estate background. Talk to us a little bit about that. Where did your real estate experience come from prior to Little Fish?
Yeah. It's love property, love real estate. I was a tradie, sort of growing up, probably 20 to 30 years of age. Tradie, renovated our own home, and that was all great. But I probably didn't love it, to be honest. Like, it was just a bit of a means to an end. Carpenter.
Oh, yeah.
Carpenter, did a lot of commercial shop fitting, so travelled around a bit and sort of fitted out shops and commercial builds and that sort of stuff. So it was good, and it's, probably my wife's grateful that I have got a bit of a background, but the tools have got a bit of a layer of dust over them at the moment. But yeah, so did that, but then really liked property. And we were living in Williamstown at the time, walking around the streets, and I was like, I love property. Like, I just want to do property. I was 30 odd and just said to my wife, and the timing was sort of there. We just finished renovating our home, so we had a bit of sort of bank behind us to get that wage hit to go in. So, bottom level sales, do the agents rep course, and and do that. And like I mentioned, a fella, Darren Dean, he gave me a start and said, jump on. I did it for 12 months, and it was awesome. It was, it was the most aggressive learning that I've had in my career, like by far. Like, as you guys know, real estate's a competitive industry, even inside your own office, depending on what office. I'm sure there's offices that sort of cuddle each other a bit more than the office I was in, but it was you competed with other agencies, but then you competed inside your own office. So it was a baptism of fire. And as you guys know, you're dealing with sort of big transactions. You got, legalities in there, contracts. Like, it's high stakes, and you're straight in, and you got to try and make bank straight away. So it was amazing, and it kick-started the journey of Little Fish, because Ben and I bought our first development site whilst I was in real estate. So it was amazing, but then after 12 months, just sort of needed to get out. It was full on. It was like I got to the point where I was like, I've learnt so much, and I really appreciate what I'd learnt. But the environment I was in, and like I said, this isn't all agencies, but this was sort of the agency I was in. It was hard work, which I wasn't fussed on the hard work, but it was just how brutal it was. And I guess the things I found myself saying and having to say to people to get an outcome. Whether that's to the vendor, whether that's to the seller, you only had the stock that you could sell, that, on your list. And it was just brutal. And not to mention, we bought the development site, and we were sort of trying to, I guess, fuel that, I suppose. So I quit real estate. And then I quit. I was real estate in the morning, and in the afternoon I had a couple of jobs from the property manager girls to go and, just be a tradie again, sort of thing.
There you go.
Yeah, that's really interesting that you kind of mentioned the environment of the office, because sometimes we like to draw analogies with sport, and we kind of look at a real estate office sometimes as if like you are in a team, like an AFL team, and you're competing with the person next to you for that spot, but you're also competing in the league as well, trying to win at the same time. And we see, I think anyone can see like a sports person that really flourishes in one team, or that doesn't, and they move clubs, and then all of a sudden, they perform so much better in that. So, maybe we could recruit you and put you in the team and the happy days.
It's just a change of environment.
Different I'm just
club.
saying,
we have a very supportive team, just FYI.
Trade season's coming up, so we might do an internal trade. You mentioned before that your sister works in the company. This kind of rings a couple of bells for us here as well, because I think Tales mentioned it yesterday when we were having a chat. Sometimes I feel like when someone starts with the Geelong Property Hub, you have to give them the organisation chart and then the family tree of like, this person's related to this person, this person's married, and this
Nepotism is right.
How do you think that's benefited Little Fish, having your sister involved? Because I think you said trust, and obviously you think that you can trust obviously everyone. How has having your sister in the business helped? We won't ask how not helped, because we don't want to get, family Christmas awkward. But how do you think it's changed the dynamic of the business, and what does it mean to you? Yeah,
for sure. Like I probably got her across. So she went to university. She did sort of construction management and architecture, something like that. Then she was working sort of in the commercial build space, and she'd been doing that a couple of years, and we were growing. So we needed some help, and we needed good help. She was, I think Benny and I were chatting, and I sort of planted the seed, and Benny was like, "Oh, just a mini PK. Let's go. Let's get her." And then, just sort of got her across, and she wasn't that easy to get across, to be honest. Like, it was hard work, and even Mum was a little bit like, "Oh, is this going to work? Like, not sure it's a good idea." And and obviously all that's sort of history now. But yeah, to be able to get someone in that you trust, and like you say, you trust everyone. If you've hired them, you got to go all in, and I trust you until I don't. So you sort of have to do that anyway. But to have her and her skill set and even in incoming clients and things like that, because all the teams sprinkle through the content as well, so people get to understand where it all sits. And I think people definitely if his sister's there, she must give it the tick, and and then it creates it instantly creates a family environment, literally, I suppose. But then people I think people from an outside looking in go, well, you'd think she'd be reasonably critical if her brother wasn't doing whatever. And obviously her brother thinks that she's, made of the right stuff because she's employed in a position of responsibility. So I think it's a nice look and a nice touch. And like I said, that trust that is just at a different level. I think you always trust your team, but I know I've got someone that isn't going to get a better offer from somewhere else, or if they did, it would just be a conversation rather than a
see you later.
A letter. Yeah.
Yeah. And I think that's really big. I think it's really huge on sharing values as well. Even as a team, even though we're not all related, we're all in the same office, but we share the same values. So I'm sure as family, it's sort of hopefully more of a natural thing.
No, for sure.
Yeah.
And that's the thing. And as you're building out a business, you start to figure out, what are your values and all that sort of stuff. And the fact that, you've got someone in that position that, holds the same values, which you do as brother and sister. It definitely makes it easier to spread that culture when you've sort of got two that have come from the same stock sort of thing.
Yep. And talk to us about the current market that you're seeing with development. I know, there's been a lot of different taxes and things coming into Victoria. How is the development thing at the moment?
Yeah, for
Industry,
sure.
Sorry.
For sure, 100%. And it's been, I think I've said to a few people, said to my business partners, I think we'll look back and see the hardest couple of years that we're probably ever going to see, because we've gone through a space where, money was cheap, people were sort of diving into it.
Talia, just jumping in, just to quickly say we've had some technical difficulties. So for the next few minutes or so, if it sort of cuts in and out, that's why. Apologies. Hope you enjoy the listen.
COVID hit, build prices essentially doubled. If you listen to the media, they like to swing around the 30-40%, but we were doing, apples and apples. We were doing, pre-COVID, we were doing a double storage dual occupancy for 8 to 900,000. Now it's 1.6, 1.7, 1.8. For the same thing, apples and apples. So it's genuinely doubled. And I've got another business partner, and he's a bit older, so he's been on this planet a bit longer than me and seen a bit more. And we chat and joke about the fact that he's never seen that in his lifetime. Build prices double. So, and that's essentially our business. Property development is buy a block of land. A lot more goes into it, but buy a block of land and put 2 or 3 or 4 or 20 on the site. So it's definitely sort of, shut out a bit of that marketplace. And the thing is, real estate here in Victoria hasn't really, different probably pockets have moved differently, but as a bit of a rule, it hasn't performed like the rest of the country. We've had Brisbane, Perth, Adelaide, recording 15-20% gains, and Victoria's just been sort of flat-footed due to, probably a little bit due to government, due to, property taxes, land taxes that have been inflated and things like that. So it's an interesting space, I suppose. I think we're definitely seeing things normalise in the build cost. You've got trades going to big infrastructure projects that they're getting paid more, and they're not staying in the resi space. So you've got a fair few factors going on, but we're definitely seeing it normalise, and hopefully during this rate cutting cycle, we can see real estate sort of do its bit a bit more. And that's the thing, we definitely saw people leave the state when property, land tax went up. But that's probably now factored in the price. Like anything, any tax that comes in, it becomes the norm. I think the prices that we've seen across Victoria versus the rest of the country, they've been subdued. So, even if the taxes are a bit more, you're probably paying 100k less, relatively to the other states. So get you a little bit more tax out of that and sort of play on. And we're definitely hearing, and for us, we sort of take leads from all over Australia, and people wanting to get inside the Victoria market. It's definitely getting noisier than it's been, for sure.
Do you think that's because of the perception of it has been so flat that we're in a lull? It's bound to go up type of thing. Like Victoria's always performed quite well.
Yeah.
And that maybe people are running half. I feel like our investment portfolio is running scared. It's kind of too hard, too many taxes, wear out. Yeah. But then people are kind of thinking, well, that's maybe the opportunity to get in if these people want out quick.
Yeah, 100%. I think that's the narrative. That's what the noisy, content creators or authorities out there are definitely peddling. People have made good gains, in these other states, but I think they've probably just been reminded that Victoria, Melbourne, one of the most livable cities in the world, all these things are somewhat still there, and it's just been flat as a tack. I think it's got the fourth highest median house price now, and it was 4 or 5 years ago Melbourne was going to run down Sydney from a population point of view and sort of try and track them down from a price point of view. And that's just totally sort of gone in the other direction. So I think people see the value and see the potential upside.
Development as a word, or being a developer, sounds big. Sounds like
cool, isn't it?
Yeah, cool. I'm a developer. Because I feel like maybe some people think this, even with home ownership, that it's not for me. It's out of my reach. No way I could afford that. All those types of things. Your business being a little fish to me. The words, it's well, you don't have to be one of the big fish. You don't have to be it is a big pond out there. There's plenty of property.
There's enough space for everyone.
So it kind of feels that your service can help someone who's maybe going, look, I'm interested.
Yeah.
I think I want to be a developer, not just because it sounds cool, but because maybe it's an interest and there's money in it. But is that kind of the niche that maybe you're seeing in the development world, where you've said you've got these big corporations that have all the experts, but you are all the experts for people that are development curious? Is that?
Yeah, I think you couldn't have said it better. We can wrap it up there. But yeah, no. You're spot on, and that's where the name originated, where it originated from. But essentially, us keeping to that name and looking after the little fish, and and there is enough to go around. And we were the little fish, just trying to do a development, then another development, and then essentially that's what we do. Is we're a fee-based business that helps. We help investors, high net worth investors. So they do particular certain projects and we manage the projects for them. And then we've got, the mums and dads that might have inherited a block, might have owned a block for a fair few years, might just say, hey, we've got enough money at the moment. Maybe they've got aging parents and they want to bang to a dual lock and live in one and put the parents in the other so they're close by. We've got clients that the parents have the block and they've had the block for 40, 50 years, but the house is getting a bit old. What do we do? How do we get our kids in the property market? Well, the kids they're coming together in sort of a joint venture scenario, and parents are in one. Parents are bringing the land because the land might have been it's in a very desirable spot now, but they've had it for 40, 50 years, so it doesn't owe them anything. And then the kids get in that, and families still get to be close together. So there's lots of different sort of variations and permutations of how this works. But the ones I love the most is those types of stories where people get to stay close. You get to have your loved ones close by, and that just sort of makes sense. And that's where we play our role, and that's why we created the Little Fish Network, which is a free online platform that helps people connect, and there's people come together and do JV partnerships where, like you said, developing can be an expensive game for sure, and it's never been more expensive. But when you see people come together and say, we want to do a development, you might see 4 people that have X amount of money each, and they all jump in and do a development together. And so they're all property developers, they're all trying to improve their wealth and improve their financial standing by doing it together. So the core to what we're about is bringing the little guy along, I suppose, and you know, and at least just opening up their eyes to it. You know, we do a lot of content, a lot of free content about just explaining what it is to them, which then, you know, if it's for them, great. At least they know and they're educated. And if it's for not, and you know, if it's not, well, that's what it is.
I was
going to just say, it's really interesting that you say that, because even just in the real estate residential market, we're seeing a lot of multi-generational families wanting to move in together, whether it is a bigger block and things like that. So it's really interesting to hear that you are experiencing that, and we know where to go when we get the inquiries.
No, 100%. And it's just, I think, like you said, there'd be a perception out there that it's,
it's untouchable almost.
Do that.
Yeah.
I wouldn't even bother. And obviously, yeah, the main way people like to activate properties through sort of, I guess, single home renovation or sort of knockdown rebuild, you know, which we play a little bit in that space. But yeah, the development space is an exciting one, and the more people that we can just get their heads across it, because it makes the asset quite flexible in that nature as well. If you have got the ability to live in one of these townhouses, and if you do a big one, you know, they've got 4-bed, 3-bath, double garage, so they've got everything that a home's got. But then you've got this other one here where I see people rent it out as income and, you know, starting their property portfolio, or they sell, which is probably more common, they sell that one, which then helps pay for the whole development, and they've got a brand new home to live in. So a lot of different reasons that people could get in and have a win, for sure.
This is going to be potentially a controversial question.
Oh, let's go.
I love this.
Well, it's probably shooting myself in the foot more than anything. Is you mentioned that you've done it before. How important do you think it is when you provide a service to someone that you've done it before? Like, you've done real estate before, you've built development townhouses before. Yeah. How important do you think it is when you're providing a service that you've done it before? The only reason it's controversial is because we obviously have agents that may never have sold their house before, so you know they might not understand 100% how stressful it is to prepare an open house for sale. That's why it's controversial. But I want to hear from your point of view, how, like, you obviously know the highs and lows from a client's perspective, doing yourself. How important do you think it is that you've done it to be able to provide that service?
Yeah, as you're saying that, I'm trying to think, how do you do it without the experience? So, but you got to start somewhere as well. And I'm not, you know, it wasn't that long ago that I was trying to say to people that I was a really good property developer when I wasn't, because I hadn't done it that much.
Fake it till you make it.
Yeah, or I'd done it. Yeah, 100%. So you need to do that. So for the young players out there that maybe are in real estate that haven't sold their own home because they've never had one, because they're not at that space in life, like they've got to keep on trucking. Like, there's no question. So don't lose faith. But yes, to be able to obviously empathise with your client is definitely an important thing, for sure.
Yeah, and it's probably just like even becoming a mum. I'm like, oh shit, I've walked past so many mums and I never knew what it took to be a mum until she became a mum. And even just like having, obviously, again, very controversial, but, you know, daycare centres and people that are looking after children that aren't parents themselves, like, I wonder what their perspective is once they have a kid, like how that changes to a certain degree. So I'm particularly interested in the service base of it, is kind of going, well, whether it's actually helpful or hindering, because sometimes ignorance is bliss. Like, sometimes if you don't know the pain yourself, then you may be like...
Maybe look at the bigger picture almost.
Yeah.
Because I'm going to dub myself in here. I've actually never sold my own house. Do you know what I mean? So even this, I'm like, well, yeah.
Yeah, and sometimes, like, when I'm looking at my real estate, like selling houses and those types of things, I sold probably 200 houses for other people before I sold one of my own. And you ask Josh, I was the worst vendor he's ever had. Even though you think I would know what I was trying to do. Yeah. But just like when the shoe's on the other foot, I'm happy to give advice because it's objective and I can see it. But when I was trying to get that, I was like, nah, I know better. Don't price drop it. No, you know, do this, do that. But it's interesting because but I think in your role, I would really value someone that has done development before. So it's not just do what I say. What's the saying? Yeah, anyway. Don't do what I say. Yeah.
Do what I do.
Yeah. I just muddled you.
Say what I do. No, I don't know. I'm gonna try.
No. I think you're spot on. You're spot on, and I think it's like just talking about what we do. Yeah, the ability to have empathy for your client that's going through, maybe the development's taking longer than they anticipated, and having gone through that and having the interest payments come out of your bank account and the builder's 2 months over and it's cost you X, like having felt all that, I think it's definitely important to be able to, I guess, console and talk to your client and that sort of thing. And then, winning business as well definitely helps if you can show a body of work, that you've done. When it comes to, like property development, I'm thinking like, we've got team members that manage developments that haven't put their, done a development personally themselves, because they just haven't gone in and done it. They've managed heaps, sort of like you guys are talking about. You've sold heaps and been able to sort of navigate a lot of issues and that sort of thing, but potentially haven't done it for yourselves. And it's the same, same with my team. But I think if you get the right people, I think having done your craft, I think is important, whether it's for yourself or for a client. I think having done it is obviously an important thing, but you do need to fake it until you make it for the young or the early out there. But then it comes down to the type of person as well, because whether you've done it for yourself or not, if you've got that care factor for that client and you're selling their home and you've got the care factor and you've got a reasonably good skill set, I think you can
it almost doesn't matter.
You can still kill it. Like, just because you haven't felt exactly the feelings, I think it definitely can help, for sure. But I just don't want to sort of, say that you need it, because you don't need it. I think you probably want it.
Well, if you're a good enough salesperson, you should be able to sell either way.
Yeah.
You should be able to say, look, I've done it, and therefore, or as I was saying, like sometimes I think once I had actually experienced it for myself, then maybe I was a little less, like I was maybe risk adverse, because I was like, oh, you're like, can I please do 2 opens? Like I know it's really challenging. Whereas I knew that, beforehand, it was best for that property to be open twice on a Saturday. So I didn't really think about how much effort that was for them. I just knew from my job was to get them the highest price possible. 2 opens, like non-negotiable. But once I'd cleaned for an open house, I was like, oh, I'm so sorry. Do you think you'd be fine too? Like just the change of the perception. So I think it, as you said, it's controversial because it's probably there's no right answer as long as you said you're the right person and applying the right skills to that particular job. Correct.
And probably just, if you're not someone that has done it, whether that's being a mother, whether that's being an agent that sold their own house, whether it's a developer that hasn't done a development and managed their own development, I think you probably just got to be aware of that, when you're dealing with that person, whether it's, passing judgment on anyone that's actually doing it. What stuck out for me is what sort of house needs to be open twice on a Saturday. That's a house that's flying.
We open our houses
because we've never had anything go to market that needed to be open twice.
We open it twice all the time. Because
I would open it every day if we could, honestly.
If our vendors allowed it. Just because like what we typically find is one look at an open house, like even when I was looking at buying, one look you kind of like, oh yeah, getting a feel for it. Yeah. And then you want a second look, but then you feel annoying. So then if there's actually...
Or you got to wait till Wednesday.
The following week.
Book a private and then you're acting too interested and then the agent annoys you. So it's like if we have like a 9 o'clock open and then a 1 o'clock open, if you're interested you can come back or get your partner who's finished work or you miss the 9 o'clock. This is why, any client should sat with us.
There you go.
Yeah. Or if there's 10
That's a hard-working agent if I've ever seen one.
It makes such a difference because...
Is it a hot property that gets that sort of love though?
All of them.
Oh, right.
Yeah, because you look at it, like over a course of, let's just say a campaign runs for a month, for example. Yeah. If you're only doing 1 a week, that's 4 open homes. But if you're doing at least 2, maybe 3, it's double the amount of buyers you could get through.
Yeah.
So you know that when you get to the end of that campaign, you've done everything and the vendors are like, okay, we've had all the buyers that could have come through because we've given all the opportunity.
Yeah. Like it.
Do you want to drop in your number, Tales, if anyone wants to sell
I was about to say, so if they're looking down the barrel,
seriously. Well,
anyone's looking to list anything, you've got your girl.
Yeah, because I even have so many of my clients are like, oh, don't worry about opening it this week, Talia, it's out of your way. I'm like, no, I want to be there. Yeah. Like, as much as you'll allow me, I will be there every day. Even this week, I've got clients that are away for the week, so I'm like, great, 4 open homes, done.
Yeah. And that's where you guys meet people and, like if you're an agent that's not standing on doors, you're not out there getting
no one's going to find you in the office. They're not going to, just rock up randomly anymore. Like that doesn't really happen. I would love to hear And this is like a lot of what we want from this podcast is about the journey. And this is a question that if someone asked me, I'd get, be like, oh, I don't know. But when you've got a lot of balls in the air, lots of different things happening, is there been a moment in your career where you felt like you've made it, or that you set a big lofty goal and you hit it and you're like, this is it, like I'm on here?
Yeah, like you say, like made it, no. But there's probably, I think, in sort of times when you can let yourself reflect a little bit and appreciate, I guess maybe the growth that has occurred. I think that can be important because it happens, it's there, and you do have to sort of, acknowledge it. And, they're probably things that, that are probably minuscule, but they're things to yourself that you go, oh, wow, it might be looking at your P&Ls or something like that, and, maybe you're getting your ass handed to you for a bit. And it's like, this is hard, like running a business and making money and getting out in front of your costs, getting your revenue out in front of your cost is hard. And but then you have a few good months and it's like, oh, wow, this is what it feels like. So, not from a winning point of view, but just from a like, oh, wow, like we're putting on a good show here, like footy team. We're stringing a few wins together and things are going well. So I guess just things like that are, that are sort of like, oh, this is what it feels like. This is what it feels like to win. There's definitely times like our team, we sort of had circa probably 15 people on the payroll, and now we're down to about 9. That was a period where it was tough to like skin down to that point, and it wasn't that enjoyable, and it wasn't something I'd really done, like I hadn't. But to sort of appreciate your P&Ls and get your rubber out and go, all right, how are we going to get this back to a point that is manageable? That was quite and now that I've seen that, and that was sort of end of probably 2024, second half of 2024. Now I've seen that and experienced that. Like that's definitely a time in my business life that I go, oh yeah, that's why we did that. And now these are the, this is what comes from it, sort of thing. And, one of my great mentors who is a business partner, Mark, the older fella, he won't like that, but anyway, that's how I describe
that,
him.
Mark.
Yeah, he's very young for his age though, but he's an amazing mentor, and that's something that he values, and he's been involved in a lot of businesses and had some good exits and that sort of thing, and that skill set of being able to manage cost and obviously drive revenue. We all understand driving revenue is key, but the managing cost bit is definitely more in your control than driving the revenue. Like. And real estate agents know that better
Preach.
than anyone, that you might be working your hardest month in, month out, and the revenue may not be moving at all. But you've got to fall in love with that process and that discipline, and not connect it to a revenue outcome. Otherwise, you'll burn out and it'll end you. So that discipline of whatever it might look like. I don't know. Do you still do letterbox drops these days in real estate? Yeah, I remember those. Wore out a pair of shoes doing that. But yeah, that sort of stuff sometimes doesn't amount to anything that you can't see. And at the end of the month or quarter, it didn't mean anything. But I think you need to put those disciplines in place and not attach those to an outcome. But yeah, the ability for us to skin back and then see that bring down that cost, that monthly cost, and now we're reaping the rewards and getting the team on board to, I guess, do a bit more. But I think when you cut your team down, I think sort of organically you figure out the things you don't need to be doing, which I thought that was a really amazing thing, because at the time, and Claire, my sister, who sort of is probably my 2IC, she was like, we're going to get rid of like that person and that person. I said, and I'm a bit more detached. So I sort of, you hear, you're not in it, but you hear things, and that's what teaches you who's doing what, who's maybe not doing it best of their ability, and where that ladder sits. And I just gone, well, no, I've heard too much about him or her or whatever that looks like. And it's a sad thing, and you have to make those decisions. But yeah, at the time, it's like, how do we get the work done? And you have to be able to look at the the cost and the revenue and go, well, we need to figure it out. It doesn't really matter. And that's been, now that I look back and reflect, and it's worked well, that's probably not I've made it moment, but that's what I've appreciated throughout the journey.
It's a very solid reminder that business ownership has been a bit like the word being a developer, that just because you're a business owner, you need a bloody thick skin sometimes, because like I think from that experience, and like we've been through things like that before, and you have to sleep almost go, it's not personal, it's business.
Yeah.
And sometimes I think about people that we've had to move on or let go or change and restructure, and they're always fine. And then sometimes you're actually doing them a favour, and by keeping them in that place where they're maybe not performing or not doing their best, you're probably doing a disadvantage to them.
Correct.
Maybe me trying to sleep easy at night, but
yeah, let's go with that, Megan. I'm with you. Yeah.
But it is like sometimes you do get so caught up in it that to be the best business owner you can, you need to be able to know it's not personal, it's just business. Like that just is what it is. Like I cannot change, as you said, the expense. Like you cost this, and that we can't afford that. Like it is what it is.
The revenue's not coming in sort of to support it. So and that was probably, it's not easy, and it's a bit of a baptism of fire when you're there and you're doing it, and it feels tough and all that sort of stuff. But it's what the business makes of you as a person as well. It demands that of you to be able to act in that way and to be able to, I guess, make those decisions. So that's that's pretty cool. Like that, like I sort of, now that and that's what I mean about sort of reflecting. You get to reflect on what the business and what your career starts to make of you as a person, and the context that you start to build around, and the ability that you've start to build out, in your own skill set, to be able to look at things subjectively and just go, well, that's the problem. Like you love your team, but you got to cut them back because of X, Y, and Z. So yeah, I think it's just amazing, and anyone that has been doing whatever they've been doing for a while, it's definitely worthwhile sort of trying to reflect on where you were and where you've got to, and just the way you think through things now because of the experience that you've had. And I think don't underestimate those wins, because that growth that's the game, really. Like, we're all trying to grow our bank accounts. That's fun as well, but it's the growth in your ability to be able to handle situations and stuff, which I think's cool, pretty cool, yeah.
And isn't it funny as well how we quite often don't realise that we've won or that we were having those good times until it does turn the other way.
100%. And and totally agree. And that was a little bit us. It was probably pre-COVID, even the start of COVID. It was like still madness. And then the realities of all that set in, and costs went up and interest rates went up, and it was just this calamity of everything being more expensive, which made it harder to do what we do. But the lessons and the appreciation comes from in those harder times. And when the good times come again, I think you're going to be a better operator and a better person in those times, rather than maybe rushing out and buying a Lambo. It's a bit more like, well, this is what we do. And I love hearing stories about maybe more advanced business people that have been on those highs and lows, and what it's made of them. I don't think you learn much when you're winning. It's definitely, very cliche, but it's when you're losing and you're going through those hard spells in your business or career, whatever it is. That's when you make, or you really learn something and evolve. Yeah.
Yeah. Our mentor, and we've spoken about John a couple of times. He says adversity creates opportunity.
Yeah.
And the amount of times he's said that to me in like the last 8 months, I'm like, oh, yeah, okay, fine. Like, but no, at 100%, like you learn so much when you're out of the comfort zone, when things aren't just on cruise control, that you just kind of like something comes at you. And as a business owner, you've got to be, on your feet. You've got to think, you've got to be a bit more diverse with, longer term thinking and all those types of things. So it's, obviously, as you've kind of alluded to, like at the time it's an emotional, like it's a mental load, it's all those types of things, but to be able to then get those lessons. And I look at us and kind of all go, like, if we're learning them now, like imagine in 10 to 15 years, what kind of experiences and, lessons we're going to have learnt by then as well. It's amazing.
100%. It's like when you spoke about the have you sold your own home, or have you been a mother and all this sort of stuff? You become a business owner that's seen some ups and downs, and we probably saw that shift in sales and revenue on the marketplace. Like I'd say, and put my hand up, probably would have liked to have probably seen it 3 months earlier, but hindsight's a beautiful thing. But, as you go through the cycles, later on in your career, you're going to be able to see those things, and you're going to know what you need to do. And it's not going to be a crazy, stressful experience. And like what you said there about your mentor saying it creates opportunity, the things that we've done inside our business to find revenue has been awesome. Like we've probably opened up, like say our buyers advocacy part of our business. Early on, we didn't even charge for that. We used to find sites for people, then we'd manage it for them, and then now we charge for it, and it's a great revenue line item for our business. The real estate stuff we didn't do, and then now we do that, and it's just an add-on value piece to our clients, and it's a really a revenue stream that we're very grateful for, and even other relationships we've built because we had to, because things were tough. So, and then now once the wind changes and good times come back, you've got all these other sort of revenue pipelines
it's in place to keep it.
That it's in place, that then it, once it goes good again, it'll probably go even better. So it's, I totally agree with what you said there. Yeah, opportunity.
Love a good tough market to wean out as well, the competition and those types of things, because I feel like, there was...
I started probably at the worst time of the market straight after COVID.
Yeah.
I started my sales career.
But also like in COVID, like there was real estate agencies popping up, just from our experience, left, right and centre.
Yeah.
And everyone can do it. And,
opening the door, they were selling. Yeah.
And now it's hard. We're like, bye.
Yeah. I think when...
But you're grateful for those lessons in the hard times.
Yeah, 100%.
Hold on.
And real estate's definitely one of those. I don't know if, because you're a bit more attuned to who the real estate agents are, because that's our game. But yeah, when I was living in Williamstown, they nearly doubled, in like 12 months, and it was just like, and I was like, where are all the houses? Where are you going to sell it? And then as it shifted, they just slowly dropped off, and the ones, with the big rent rolls and the runs on the board in the area and that sort of stuff, they were still there, and the other ones, packed up their bat and ball.
Just quickly as well, instant gratification you touched on earlier, very much like within the residential sales. Of course, with yours, a big project is probably going to take plenty of time.
A couple of years, that's right.
So how do you, I guess, even for yourself, but also for your clients, like what keeps you grounded throughout that process in terms of not having that instant gratification, knowing that what you've planned will work? Any tips and tricks?
Not buying the Lambo too early.
Don't celebrate too soon.
Yeah, no, 100%. It is a journey. I think there's a lot of milestones throughout the process, which they're the ones that you got to sort of, cheer.
Celebrate at the time.
Yeah, 100%. It might be, and some of my favourite parts of a development is getting the first set of plans back and the demolition of the old crummy house that used to be there. Like that nice, fresh demoed site is amazing, and that fresh set of plans for the first time is, taking something that's, pretty crummy and all over the shop and messy. It might be my OCD that I just like to see it nice and clean. But yeah, milestones like that, there's lots of exciting things throughout the process, whether, like I say, from plans, if you're getting plans evolved and it's like, oh, we like a bit of this and we like a bit of that, and then you get that back and it's like, oh, wow, that's what we wanted type thing. And then you get, your planning permit, you build on a contract, you get slab, all those milestones throughout, are all there. But yeah, they're probably the ones that keep everyone rolling, keep them excited. Yeah, for sure.
Thank you so much. I feel like we could go on and on
I
and
know,
on, especially.
I really could. I looked at the time and I'm like, I still want to keep going.
We're going to finish with some rapid fire questions.
Oh, I love these.
Yeah. So we'll try and keep it to 3, because also our rapid fire questions are sometimes long-winded answers that we can.
Not that rapid.
Yeah, not that rapid.
And we don't have them pre-planned still.
Yeah, we just make them up. But my favourite one is, we spoke earlier that you were in Melbourne, you've moved to Geelong. Where's your favourite, or where's your go-to holiday destination?
Great question. We just recently come back from Kingscliff. We stayed at the Caravan Park in Kingscliff, so that's just a little bit south of like Coolangatta, Gold Coast, and we flew out of Avalon, Gold Coast, 14-minute drive, and we're at Kingscliff, little town. It's it's 30 minutes from Byron Bay, so it's all becoming a bit cool, and they're not secrets anymore, these towns. But yeah, that was just a ripper, and yeah, first time we've got young twin boys and 2 girls as well, and first time that the boys have been on a plane. But that's one that we've rebooked again for next winter holiday. So Kingscliff, that's my answer there.
How good's that? I recently went to the Sunshine Coast, and one of my pros for the spot that I went, it was only 5 minutes from the airport.
Yeah.
Just so you know, it's so close to the airport because
Did you get out of Avalon?
No,
Okay.
yeah, but I will say, can we do some crowdfunding or something for Bonza to come back and fly to Sunshine Coast, please? Because
Seriously?
I would fly from Avalon every
Gotcha.
single time
Yes.
if they
Well,
flew.
they go to the, obviously go to the Goldie, but that
Yes.
was something that I was just like, oh wow,
Yeah.
because Avalon's like our private airport, isn't it?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
How old are the twins? That's not a rapid fire question, by the way.
4.5.
First time on a plane, how
Oh,
did that go?
Yeah, no, it was okay. Like we had the 3 and the 3, so we booked our seats, and to the Gold Coast, it was okay. It was okay.
Snacks?
Everyone
What's
was
the
a bit excited. Snacks, yeah, like the bloody when they come through and like they just finished eating, and then it's like
We'd
they
like
want
the
all
$10
this.
Gotta
Pringles.
have everything, yeah.
100%. So yeah, no, they loved it. So it was a special family holiday for us. But as far as amazing beach. Temperature was okay. It was like 21, 22
That's comfortable.
in the middle
isn't
of
it?
winter. I'm sort of like I take that, and then the Kingscliff Hotel was right there. The Bowls Club was right there. It was just easy. It was good. Yeah.
So nice. My sister actually got married in Kingscliff, and
Oh wow.
beautiful.
Yeah.
Pizza or pasta?
I'm sort of cutting back at the moment, so neither of those are in my meal plan at the moment.
Oh,
But-
you're doing a challenge.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
we
Yeah,
forgot to
yeah.
touch on this. Yes.
We want to hear about the challenge. This is a good
Please
segue.
tell us about this.
It's nothing crazy, but it's a good mate, Robbie, who lives in Sydney, and he does it each year, and he's very much into his health, and he's created an app, and he's awesome fella, but he starts a challenge amongst his mates, put in some cash. I think there's 25 blokes, and we've all put in 100. And that's the prize pool at the end, and it's an DEXA scan to start. So that's a body composition scan where measures muscle, fat, visceral fat. Like it's like a body imaging scan. So it's pretty accurate, I suppose. And then you get one at the end, and then there's prizes for who loses the most weight and who puts on the most muscle, I think, are the 2 categories. And I started it 2 weeks after I got back from Kingscliff.
Perfect.
And
Is it because that would be good? Potentially, put on a
I enjoyed myself. I enjoyed myself, and I'd probably enjoyed myself, for a little bit, and I'd probably was heavier than I wanted to be, and had been for a couple of years. And just, he was doing that. I was in the right mind space. I was like, all right, cool, let's go. And he reckons I'm leading the challenge.
How good.
So anyway, but that's probably just a smaller comp inside a bigger goal for me, just to dial in and talk about instant gratification, bit of delayed gratification for PK. But try and do some things that are, just dial in the eating, off the grog, a bit more exercise.
Something for you.
100%,
Yeah.
yeah, and just do it because I want to do it, and so no, it's good, and when you're doing something for yourself and you wake up and you're on a bit of a mission, that sort of drives me a bit. So anyway, we're locked
on
in,
you.
and
Good luck.
So how do we get to that? So
Pizza or
pizza or
pasta?
Pizza or pasta?
It should be like protein shake or
My family are enjoying the pizza and pasta, but they don't fit inside. But it's definitely pizza. Love pizza. I actually made myself a pizza the other night. Calories were a bit high, but anyway.
Protein base.
Yeah, it was
They've
a protein.
got some new protein bases now, and
yeah, you know what? The calories always try and trick you. I saw the
Yeah.
calories, and I was like, and I didn't appreciate this amount of servings.
True.
And I was like, I got to times out by 4. Jeez, this base is off the charts. Anyway, but you got to have a little cheat meal here and there. But it was pretty clean. It was fresh. A lot of protein, minimal
Nice.
cheese. Anyway.
and like all
I'm a
things,
pizza guy.
Everything in relevance,
moderation.
in moderation, all that type of stuff, all
Yeah.
that fun stuff. I'm
Yes,
sure,
Megan,
yeah,
yes.
yeah.
Getting a
Mediate,
lecture.
mediate. Well, thank you so much for joining us. It's been awesome. I definitely have learned so much more. So hopefully everyone else has.
Absolutely, me too. Yeah, thank you so much for coming on. It's been a pleasure.
Awesome. No, it's been awesome, girls. And yeah, well done. Well done to you guys. Podcast onwards and upwards. Hopefully you can get some more important guests than me moving forward.
Actually, for our guests, where can we find you? What best way to contact, follow you on Instagram, listen to your pod?
Yeah, good shout.
Give yourself a plug.
Sort of stuff.
Go on.
Yeah, Peter Kelly Property on Instagram or YouTube. Littlefishnetwork.com.au is a free online community of people helping each other. There's resources on there and tools, free resources and tools for you to jump in and get better, feasibility calculators, masterclasses in there, all that sort of stuff. So it's free because I don't like to sell.
We love a freebie.
So we give, we don't sell. But that's a ripper space as well. So yeah.
Thanks so much.
Thank you so much.
Awesome. Thanks, girls.